Cam. Good luck.
Hello, Hatch. Wow. What a conference. This is literally like the perfect size for a venue. Sometimes I'm like, oh, but this is good. So thanks, Damien and team, for putting this on. We live in a crazy time. Literally, anything can be made with a few taps of a keyboard. It took me 5 minutes to generate 4 new logos for Hatch using ChatGPT. It then took me 10 minutes to code an entire functional website using said logo. I just asked Goose, dropped in some screenshots, and bam, it was done, like an actual website. The only oversight, if you can see here, is it moved the conference to Melbourne, which, I'm not mad about, okay? And then it took me about an hour to design and build a mini app for my time here in Berlin. All the recs I got from people, when you say you're going to Berlin, everyone's like, I've got recs, right? I just sketched it out, yelled at Figma Make, and here we are. Like I said, crazy, crazy times. And with all that possibility, I've seen the conversation shift a bit. Remember a few years back when this was part of our dialogue? Should every designer code? The division was fierce, wasn't it? It was so mad. Now I've seen it change. It's cool. Now every designer can vibe code. Hell yeah, let's vibe code away. Then more recently, it's been everyone can code, design, write, research, analyze data, create artwork, produce video, build presentations, translate language, check compliance, model business scenarios, and set up marketing funnels. Oof. And if you're like me, you're like, shit. Everyone kind of does everything now, I guess. Is everyone a designer? And you follow that train of thought, right? And you probably end up thinking, yeah, but what's the catch? And I think we'd all be lying a bit if we hadn't felt this mix of emotions. On one side, it's thrilling. You've never built so much, felt less restricted creatively. The walled garden of technical expertise is now gone. But at the same time, you can't shake this deep, deep feeling. We're experiencing this explosion in creation. Everyone is a builder. Everyone is making. Anyone can create infinite options of what we do. No more walled garden for designers. But as a person with a good eye, like someone who really understands this stuff, you start to feel a little bit differently. You've got hundreds of directions, but it all feels a bit directionless. Infinite options and outputs that feel the same, do the same. It's beginning to blur. It's competent, polite. There's too much stuff and not enough soul. And this is the tension I find myself navigating in my day-to-day. When making literally anything is possible, but it's all beginning to feel the same, where do I go? And how do I steer teams? So I guess this isn't really a talk about AI. It's literally just a reflection on how I've seen my role evolve in the age of AI. When it's no longer a question of what can we make, but what should we make? So my existential crisis number 1 is when there's just too much stuff. So in the late 1880s in Paris, this happened. Overnight, the streets came alive with a flood of posters. They were beautiful. It was a smorgasbord of color, print, and typography. But for the people of the time, it was a lot. Paris was suddenly overloaded with posters. And it was all because of this process, chromolithography, a new print process that allowed the mass production of colorful, photorealistic images cheaply. It created this flood of artwork that became so dense, people complained about the visual clutter. Observers wrote of posters noisily competing for attention, causing disruption to their beautiful Paris. But Paris didn't shut down the presses. They brought focus to this new art form by creating the Morris column, this ornate dark green structure you see here that you've probably seen around Paris. The city didn't make less. It used the design to curate a rhythm for attention. The exact same thing happened in music. Technology made it possible for literally anyone to have access to every song in their pocket. And we got overwhelmed with choice. an impossibly large catalog, and no clue where to start. And the solution was playlists, a simple solve to curate a theme of music and allow us to navigate these endless libraries. Time and time again, over the course of history, you begin to notice a pattern. Abundance in output creates a demand for discernment. And we're now experiencing this in software design, where AI is causing a similar explosion in creation. We're entering the age of abundance in what we all do. Because as the making gets easier, the output explodes. So like that Morris column or those beautiful playlists, what I've been searching for is a new analog for me and my team in this AI-first world. And the biggest source of inspiration I keep coming back to is world-famous curators, the people who select, organize, and give meaning to choice so that you can navigate these infinite options. Because as the making gets more automated, the role of a designer changes. From making to choosing. Our skill set used to be about just producing every pixel, flow, detail, specs for God's sake. But as computers continue to automate more and more of that work, the real value of a designer becomes judgment. Showing what's worth paying attention to and helping people navigate an overwhelming amount of stuff. It's curation. So let me show you how that's showing up in some of my day-to-day. This is Arcade. It's Cash's design system, and we've been updating it a ton recently to be simpler, more unique, and a bit more grown-up. So honestly, feeling really great. But getting towards this work required a ton of work. And it starts with just making. We don't stress too much about documents. We don't worry about internal alignment. We just start building. And that building is getting faster and faster, powered by these new tools. For example, I can quickly prompt a 3D illustration to see if the metaphor would work. A couple of reference images, a prompt chucked into Goose. This would have taken hours before. Now I can make 10 options in 10 minutes. Or exploring how data viz could work. You just pull some type, sketch out some ideas in Figma, vibe code a proof of concept, and in a few hours, you've got 3 functional prototypes for one small moment. And what I'm really seeing unfold is this new tool belt for creation. It's multi-software, non-linear, almost a hacker approach to design. Some of it's prompts, some of it's swipe, some of it is vibe coded, but it's entirely new, and it's supercharging human output. So with all that building, you're going to end up somewhere around this, like a ton of stuff. Some of it is probably pretty bad, but buried in there are going to be some kernels of exceptional design work. The most important behavior I'm seeing in this new world is to create fast and then edit slow. Embrace this new velocity with open arms, but put the care into editing. Because editing carefully is curation. It allows you to go from here to here. You start by deleting. It's always the hardest part in this new world. You say no to the obvious, remove the redundant. Sometimes deleting stuff is super easy, like it feels off-brand or customers don't just love it. But other times it's really abstract, like what's our philosophy on the future of payments? What's our belief system as a company? But you have to delete in order to curate. Then you have to amplify what's working well. You pull it forwards. You grab those kernels of an idea, the ones with real power that have legs, and you amplify them. In every product development process these days, there's small moments you discover along the way. They're usually unconnected, they're completely random, but in this build-first mindset, spotting those moments is the most important skill. Your ability to do that really matters. That bold use of green, togetherness represented as a cluster of icons, the really nice feeling white space up there, or just a single icon. And you amplify those moments until it becomes the through line. pulling those disparate threads together and telling a story of your direction. But I always come back to this, leading with instinct and intuition. I think it's a skill that a lot of people in design and tech have lost transparently. We outsourced every decision to data because it meant we didn't get fired. We let design by committee become the accepted norm. Just add stakeholder X for another opinion. But having a process to filter based on your opinion is the backbone of any creator in the world. Because as the barriers to entry and creation become lower, taste is your differentiator. Rick Rubin said it best here.
You must know something.
Well, I know what I like and what I don't like, and I'm decisive about what I like and what I don't like.
So what are you being paid for?
The confidence that I have in my taste and my ability to express what I feel has proven helpful for artists.
I love that. It's a perfect summary. So for product design to be successful in this new world, we have to capture our role as the curator. Own the fact that reviewing work is just as important as making it. Get off the fence of zero opinion. Develop your taste as your strategic advantage. Otherwise, a computer will be better than you. That allows you to go from this to this. You've created a ton of stuff, you've deleted what doesn't work, you've spotlighted what works, and you've narrated the sum of the parts into something together. All that stuff has been curated into something meaningful. It's never a straight line. It's never linear. But what you've done is you've shaped meaning through your choices. Because in a world of infinite options, taste is your strategy. The second challenge I keep running into is just when it all starts to blur together. Throughout our time as designers, we've had access to all of these tools. And in part, they've played a big influence on the style of the time. You know, this began way before my time, back with movable type and rigid print layouts. And this has been the progression throughout my career. When I first started, it was Flash, then Photoshop. We made all these super rich layouts with music on websites, right? Glossy buttons, skeuomorphic design. I kind of miss it looking back, to be honest. Then iOS 7 came along and pretty much threw all that out the window. Mid-2013, Sketch was super popular, peak flat UI design, background blurs. And then I think the last few years before AI have been dominated by the rise of design systems. It made it super quick to build stuff, but identical systems, slightly different content. And AI is no different. It's a tool. It has a style associated with it. In fact, the style might even be more prevalent than tools we've previously used. These models don't create in the way we do. Every output is a probability. They're trained on masses of data, so the first draft you get back tends to pull towards the middle. And middle kind of means boring. Often means fluent. It's polished, but when you start to compare things, you're like, it's eerily similar. The flood of stuff is beginning to blur. And sameness is becoming the new noise. This isn't a new phenomenon. There's a deep history of new technology streamlining processes, but also standardizing output. One of my favorite examples of this is 1930s cartoons. They mostly looked like this: short, comedic moments of light entertainment, all pretty similar in approach. Then, amongst that sea of sameness, came Fantasia. It shattered expectations of the time, blending high art, classical music with animation and abstract storytelling. It had this bold style and immersive sound technology. It was really completely new for the time. It was the outlier because it was a unique human vision enabled by the technology. A team of creators who wanted to redefine what animation could be, and they did just that. That is the human opportunity in our AI future, to push beyond the prompt, to ask the harder questions, inject a point of view. Because the greatest risk when building is so easy is not failure, it's irrelevance. Our human vision at Cash App is pretty bold. It's to redefine the world's relationship with money. Not follow what's come before us, but create an entirely new shape for fintech. And we filter that idea into literally everything we do. When you look at bank cards, nearly all of them flat, plastic, anonymous rectangles. We asked whatever card could be personal, designed by you, really one of one. Would that change your relationship to it? Yeah, it would. At Cash, every customer can get a completely customized debit card. We have these cool bases like dark, glitter, black metal, even hot pink, which is a personal favorite. And then you can draw on it, add your cash tag. People make the most amazing things with this. One of my favorites we just launched is Tortoise, this beautiful shell pattern that the team took so long to get right. The design can be customized however you like. We then create an app theme, so your app matches your card. It's just an act of opinion that banking can be one of one. That's why people remember it. And that's why every time I pull out my Tortoise card, someone asks me about it. We also paired it with this cool campaign, which I'm just showing because it's cool. But this is just celebrating Tortoise and celebrating this. Everything we do can be thought of this way. Let's take payments. Traditionally, they're silent, pure utility, lots of forms. My Chase app doesn't exactly spark joy when I open it, right? This is the way you pay someone on Cash. So much of this actually defies what you'd call good design logic. We don't use the native keyboard. It doesn't match the way people think about sending money. It might even be more clicks. But it's a bold statement on what we value: simplicity and focus. It spikes to an extreme, but customers absolutely love it. Then on top of that, we layer personalized payments assets, something that's usually invisible, like sending money to someone. You can customize and make it expressive, taking a transaction and turning it into something meaningful. Another one, bank branches. They used to be so beautiful if you actually think about them. But somewhere along the way, they got lost. It became soulless. Beige, fluorescent lighting on the walls, adverts. But don't worry, we've got iPads. When Cash shows up in physical form, well, we're not that. We've got music, artists, so much care put into design. We carry that opinion into every detail of everything we create. Loud greens, bold shapes, typography with presence. Not decoration, but distinction. Building an app that's unmistakably ours and that will redefine the world's relationship with money. That's how we stand out among the blur. And here's the thing. This isn't just designers having fun with loud colors and weird cards and all that stuff. It works. Cash App has moved over $1 trillion since its inception. Trillion. Crazy. This isn't an accident. It's what happens when you lead with a deep human vision. You cut through the noise. Because when it all begins to blur, stand out or be forgotten. Because in a world where we can make anything, and it's all beginning to feel the same, opinionated design, it's not just survival. It's the only way to make your product unforgettable. Thanks for listening.